Please bring all your New Zealand does to the show ring, your New Zealand does to the show ring. All breeding rabbits to the show ring, all breeding rabbits to the show ring.
Test. Test. So we're starting this show this morning with these breeder rabbits, and we've got some really nice animals up here today. I appreciate what these kids have brought to the table. They all in their stay. Can they turn it down? Test. So my champion this morning is going to be this young lady down here with her California doe. Just a very nice quality animal. Starting out the show today, just a super nice, meaty type in just really good condition. Was an easy pick for me today. Just in very good condition and coat. Overall, just nice quality animal. My reserve is going to go down here to the young lady on the end with her buck. This is a very well-shaped buck. He's not in condition today, but you can see all of the right qualities that are there for him. He just needs to finish out and clean up a little bit, and he'll be an animal as well. Congratulations, you guys.
Testing, testing.
Your grand breeding rabbit went to Olivia Jefferson, and your reserve went to Joanna Miller. Please bring your Class 1 bakers to the show ring. Class 1 bakers to the show ring.
1, 2. Testing, 1, 2.
Testing. 1, 2.
Testing, testing. Good. Class 2 bakers to the show ring. Class 2 bakers to the show ring.
Is there one open plug there that you can get like a regular plug in?
Let's stop.
But can you fit that one on there if we move stuff around? Or should I put another. Okay, let me see if I have another power strip that's, and then we'll move on. And I'll just switch this camera whenever we do.
on this project with your kiddos, and I want to pick the right one today. So if I've moved them around and sent them back and brought them back and all that, just know I've got the best interest of you and your kiddos out here, because I've been there where you are and I know how it feels, and I still know how it feels because I show myself. And so I don't like being kicked back when I could have stayed. And that's happened to me before. So overall, these are some very nice quality animals that you've got up here. Your kids have worked hard on these projects, and I don't know that everybody always appreciates the rabbit project, but I do. It's a hard project. It's a quick project sometimes, and I think some of the big breeders don't, like the pig and the cattle and all them, they don't appreciate any of it because they don't know about it. But it's not an easy project, and it's not for people who give up easily. I work hard at it myself, and you know, you win, you lose, you don't quit, you just keep trying. But overall, I think my top 8 up here are just some tremendous animals, and I'm going to go ahead and place them for you today, okay? Have ribbons for this class? So we're just going to place the ribbons right now, okay? Yeah, do the ribbons. And but young lady, just stay right there where you are, okay? All right. So I'm going to start out right here with this young lady and her Californian. And, you know, going through this, I really didn't realize that I only had one Californian, and typically they're very good. I think the ones that I saw today are just immature. I don't think they're bad rabbits. I think they're just immature rabbits to win on this table at this time today. But, young lady, this is a very nice little young rabbit that just needs some growing time. I don't think that you have anything wrong. No. Stop. I'm not through yet. Just place this one. Hang on, just place this one. Did you give a ribbon to her? Okay, perfect. All right, so you are right. Young lady is going to be next. You're going to be 7th in this class, okay? So overall, your rabbit, I really worked trying to get this rabbit to set up, and I think the rabbit is really a nicer rabbit. It could have maybe moved up a little bit more, but you're overworking her, and you've got to let her just chill sometimes. So just don't pet her as much. She's your baby, I know, I can tell. You love her, and she loves that. She doesn't want anybody else to touch her, and that's a problem. So you're going to have to back off, let mom, dad, someone else handle her a couple of times, and you've got a really nice rabbit. She probably would have placed up a little bit further. I just couldn't get her to show me what all she has. She just wants to straighten herself out and make herself look a little awkward. But overall, a nice quality animal right there. Young lady right here, you got pulled, and then I brought you back, and it's a good thing I did, because I really do like a lot of things about your animal. But for me today, this animal's just not finished in coat and overall. Like, his coat's a little off. He might have placed up a couple of more notches if he'd had a really nice coat. He's got good bone, good structure, good head and ear for a buck. He looks really good. He's just not perfect in coat, and who is in July? So, sir, next, you're going to go next. Y'all can put a ribbon right here. I love this little animal, and I've loved it from the start. It was one of the first ones I pulled. I think you got a lot of growth potential left in this one. Grow him out carefully, and I think if you go on to Eastern or to State Fair with this animal, you're going to have a knockout winner right there. But overall, just really love that animal, okay? Young lady over here with the white rabbit. This is a very nice quality doe. She's got lots of good places in her. I can appreciate her about a lot of things, the way she's put together. She's got a really good strength into that loin and back into that hindquarter. She's got a good, strong midsection. For me, she's a little soft. And that's what happens to does. They get a little soft over age. But overall, she's excellent quality animal. She's got a very nice coat on her. She's just a little on the soft side, okay? And then, young lady, you're going to be 3rd. So congratulations on that, because this was a very nice group of animals. I just kept, so it's not the biggest animal up here, but man, it's got type, it's in condition, it's finished for today. And that's what you want to do. When you come to a show, you want to make sure you've got something that's finished. You know, and I know sometimes you can't tell what your environment looks like, but overall I just felt like this animal was totally in finish and in coat and condition today, and that's why you got to place 3rd, because overall you got the whole balance going today, okay? But it's not the biggest rabbit. Still got a lot of room to grow, okay? You could win somewhere with that one, all right? And then I've left y'all down here with these 2. And I didn't realize, like I said, that I ended up with one Californian in the whole bunch in blacks and whites, and that doesn't happen real often. So whoever your breeders were, or if you're the breeder, congratulations. New Zealanders have a harder time beating Californians at a county level a lot of times because it takes longer to grow them out. But I do have 2 that I really felt like just were high quality all the way across. Never really wanted to look at them again. They were in the back of my mind. I have one that I just feel like fits my bill today. So I'm going to go ahead and banner out. will you hold this for me? So your grand champion Baker Rabbit for 2025 Eddy County Fair is this black New Zealand. Love that rabbit. It is a beautiful animal, really well put together, still has some growth potential as well. Overall, I think that's a showstopper and can go on and win somewhere else. So, sir, that leaves you with all these girls and to one other boy over there. But you know what? You came in that rabbit down and he never budged, and I started handling it and I thought, I'm leaving it alone. And as I've gone through all of these guys, you well deserve this reserve grand champion today. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for letting me judge this class.
Your grand champion, Baker, went to Taurus Hughes, and then your reserve grand champion went to Jonah Pope. Please bring your Class 1 Friars to the show ring. Class 1 Friars to the show ring. show ring. Class 1 fryers to the show ring. After the rabbit show, we're going to have a showmanship, just how we did goat dairy heifers the other day. So we're going to bring back all of our novice, junior, and senior showers with your rabbits, and we're going to do a showmanship show then.
Good morning, everyone. Our judge today is Teresa D. Chattel from Sudan, Texas. Teresa and her daughters have been raising and showing several breeds of rabbits: Dutch, mini Satins, mini Rex, Californians, New Zealands, French Lops, mini Lops, to name a few. They have raised about 200 head per year for 17 years. Teresa has judged many stock shows, fairs, and jackpots throughout Texas and New Mexico. She was the president of the Texas Rabbit Breeders Association for 2 terms and is now serving as the advisor to the board. Teresa is active in many 4-H and rabbit groups throughout Texas. Teresa is currently an elementary educator at Sudan schools. Please help me in welcoming our judge today to the Eddy County Fair.
So our first round of, y'all are calling them something different, but these are meat pins to me. What are y'all calling them on your paper? Fryers? Meat pin fryers, okay? And so these are some really nice quality ones. And let me tell you, one of the things about a meat pin that makes it so difficult is uniformity, which means they should look alike in easier terms. Uniformity means they should look alike. And so if I put markers on there, that was for me, not necessarily placing, just so y'all know that, okay? And I won't hold them up because now I'm placing my class and I'm ready to go. I'm always going to look at uniformity first because it's important to the meat pin. The second thing I'm looking for is structure of the animal, is the correct type for the breed that it comes from. So I've got some New Zealand's, some Californians up here. So they are actually different rabbits. They have different traits. And then I start looking for other flaws like scattered white hairs or missing ears or toenails and all those things that go along with that. So when I'm going through here, I'm looking at them multiple times because then I'm looking for something else at that point. But I think I've got me some really nice quality top 2 animals up here. I'm going to go ahead and place them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So do you have 7 ones? Perfect. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to go ahead and place this class for you, okay? All right, we're going to start right over here, so whoever's got the ribbons. So, young lady, you're going to be 7th. Yours are very tiny, and they're just not muscled up enough for me today. You also have 2 that match pretty good and 1 that's off. And so there's where my problem is. And there was a couple of friends in here that if you could have switched rabbits around, but you can't, you'd have had a really good pair that goes to a trio that goes together. But overall, as a nice quality pin, they're just very young and immature, okay? All right. Number 6 is going to go to this young man right over here with this Californian pin. So he's going to be 6. Sir, you have 2 really good animals that are really matched up, and then you've got 1 that's off. And if you notice, I kind of moved them around. That's what y'all should do. You should move them around and see who matches. And I always suggest that you buy more than 3. Because if you lose 1, then you don't have a meat pin anymore, correct? So overall, very nice quality pin there. Then I'm going to go right down here to this young lady right here. She's going to be 5th. Sweetheart, you have a super nice quality pin as well, but you almost have 3 different rabbits. But there's 2 that match fairly closely. 1 is off, but they're very good structure animals. Some good meat to them, some good condition on them. But right now, they're just not quite matched up for me today, and that's what I'm going off of, okay? So then going down, I've got... Okay, I'm going to go right over here. You're going to be 4th, young lady, and you 2 also have 2 that match up really well and 1 that's just off a little bit. If you have that 4th one that you can wheel in, that is also helpful, I think, just because of that. But overall, just nice quality animals, good structure to their bodies, well filled out. They've got good bone, good muscle tone, and all of that. So 3rd place is going to go to this mischievous little group right over here. And young lady, you have the biggest rabbits in the class, but they're still not matched up. And the only reason I'm keeping you is because every one of these individually is excellent rabbit. They just don't quite match up, but overall you got the best pin as far as individual rabbits. If you was in a fryer class, they'd be 1, 2, 3. So, but overall, I think they've got everything they need. You just need to match them up a little bit closer together so that they actually make a pin. But to me, they're outstanding rabbits individually. They're very nice overall. So I've got 2 left. And I like both of them for different reasons. So young lady over here, you're going to be 2nd. And sir, you're going to be 1st over here with this little black. This is a very nice pin. Super nice quality animals. They've got lots of bone, lots of structure to them, good tone to their muscle, well filled out over that loin and into that hip area, nice width into that hip. These 2 balanced out for me. They just felt like they matched up individually very nicely as well as a group. Sir, you don't have the biggest pin in here, but they match. And they also have good tone, good structure to them, good feel to them, and you can't really tell much difference about who's who in that class. And that's what I'm looking for personally. Now, as they grow, when you guys are feeding these guys out, the thing that you want to be careful about is not let one get too big and be the bully. So you have to move them around to keep them from doing that. And if you don't have that in your household, maybe take the big one out and let him eat last and let the other ones have the food first. And you know, if you're watching them, you know that happens because you see them go. But overall, a very nice quality group of animals coming in here for Class 1.
First place went to Trevor Pope, Loving FFA. Second place went to Tegan Frost, Brush Proppers 4-H. Third went to Cadence Klontz, Artesia FFA. Fourth went to Johanna Miller, Blue Jeans and Boots. Fifth went to Ansley Troublefield, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth went to Albert Calderon, Loving 4-H. And seventh went to Bristol Dennison, Cottonwood 4-H.
test. Okay, so we have another really nice group of friar hen rabbits up here. I'm going to go ahead and place them out and explain to you. The top two, I believe, come back. Correct? So don't leave if you get top two, okay? But overall, I just feel like there's some nice quality going on, and I just found out y'all been here since Monday, and I can't imagine trying to keep these rabbits in this heat, but today y'all got lucky with some cooler air. Last night's storm must have brought that in. So I'm going to go ahead and place. Are you ready, sweetheart? Okay, we have 7 in this class, so we're going to go down here to this pen right here, young lady. You've got 2 rabbits that do match. I've been finding out that those were your pens. Don't always go on weight. If you did them, I haven't looked at the scorecard to know that, but I think like you have one that you could have switched out and you would have had a more complete set here if you'd have pulled one out of one or the other, okay? So don't always go on weight. You know, it doesn't matter. A couple ounces isn't going to kill you, but you look at the conformity of the animal as well, okay? All right, then number 6 is going to go this young lady right here. Sweetheart, you have some really nice rabbits, but they don't match. You have one rabbit that's big, one rabbit that's middle, and one rabbit that's a little bit on the side. So it's hard when you get them like that. They're nice quality animals individually, but they're just not set up for a meat pen today for me, okay? 5th is going to go right down here to this young lady again. This pen is put together a little bit better. They've got some good length in that loin, some good width into that hindquarter, but they're just really loose and flesh condition. Mainly is where I'm kind of faulting them a little bit today for me. Okay, then we're going to go right over here to this young lady with the blacks. I know, right? I don't always pick black. I really like this pen. I liked your other pen a little bit better, and I think you could have switched a few of them out also and had a more complete pen if you'd have. I don't know how you do it. I don't know what you and your family do, but for me, like, pick your rabbits that match their type. So, but overall, very nice quality animal pen there. Just for me, they don't match up as well as I'd like for them to today compared to the rest of the class. So I have some really nice animals up here for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I'm going to go down here with this young man right here. He's going to be 3rd. Sir, you have a really nice, good fresh pen. They've got some good meat to them. They've got some good feel to them. Where they're lacking over the other 2 is they're just a little bit hollow through that loin area for me today. You need a little bit more feel on the top, on the back, but they've got good meat. They're strong, good boned animals, and they match up pretty well overall, but I just like these 2 that are left up here. So very nice pen. They'll be 3rd. Down to the last 2, and here we are with cows. And so here's what happens when you get into a roaster or a stewer class like before when we first started. A lot of times those New Zealanders will catch up to these Californians, but Californians make a really nice meat pen typically. So going down to these 2, I really liked a lot of aspects about both of them, but this young lady here is going to be 2nd, and this young lady over here is going to be 1st. And I like things about both of them, but young lady, yours, you had a complete pen, but you still have one that's slightly off. And I like the condition on her rabbits better. They've got more flesh condition than yours do, but overall just a very nice pen, very good strong pen. Young lady, this is the best meat pen I've seen in a while. They've got lots of bone, lots of structure, lots of meat in them. They're finished out, they're typed, and they look so much alike all the way across. You don't look at the ear. I love a good dark ear, but in this time of the year, a lot of these guys will frost out. That's not much we can do about that, but overall, very nice quality pen. Congratulations.
First place went to Bristol Dennison, Cottonwood 4-H. Second place went to Peyton Norman, Loving 4-H. Third went to Kobe Norman, Loving 4-H. Fourth went to Caden Clance, Artesia FFA. Fifth went to Megan McKibben, Loving 4-H. Sixth went to Peyton Norman, Loving 4-H. And seventh went to Megan McKibben, Loving 4-H, tag B and 4B and 2. Please bring your Class 3 fryers to the show ring. Class 3 fryers to the show ring.
Bigger is better. Not necessarily, but it does help. The young man down here had some problems and he figured it out, and he brought in a really nice pen also when he came in. So just an overall very nice class. A lot bigger rabbits, a little bit more weight to them. Weight doesn't always make a difference, but it can. Sometimes you get some when they're little and you just can't tell much about them. But this overall is just a really nice class. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to go ahead and place y'all out. So there's 8 in this class. So you ready, sweetheart? Little princess? Ready? All right, follow me over here. So number 8 is going to go to this young lady right here. For me, this pen just has a little bit of a narrow width to their midsection, and they've got adequate hindquarter, but they're just really frail compared to the rest of the class. If they'd been in the class before, they probably would have placed somewhere in there. But overall, they've got good type. They're just getting outmanned today, okay? All right, then here we go. We're going to come right over here. Sir, you have the same kind of problem with yours as well. They're nice little rabbits. They just don't have a lot of muscle and condition on them today to place up any higher. You got put up in a class that you probably are just getting out muscled in, but overall I think they're a nice set. They're just needing a little bit more growth time, okay? All right, then we're going to go back across over here. You got to watch me, I'm fast. So this one here is going to be next. I really like this pen. I think they're a little bit further past that one, but they too still just don't have a lot of width into that loin. They don't have enough definition in that hindquarter for me today. They could grow a little bit longer and be ready to go a little bit more. Okay? Then I know I'm just flipping back and forth, so I'm going to go this guy with the beautiful eyes. Every time I look at him, is he your brother? No, because y'all have the same color eyes. I just am looking like he's handsome. You've got a really nice pen here. They're well put together. You're just getting out muscled as well. You just got some pens in front of you that just have more finish on them and more muscle tone on them today. But that is a very nice pen, and I appreciate what you brought to the table for me today. And then I get down, I've got 4 up here, and I am conflicted because I like things about all 4 of these pens, and I was questioning because I really think all of these are show ready to go on and win somewhere, but I have to pick, and so that's what I'm going to do. So young lady right here, you're going to be 4th. I so appreciate the condition that you have on these animals. Type-wise, you're getting beat just a little bit based off of what's left up here, but overall they're structurally sound. They've got some good definition into that loin and into that hip. If I wanted to fix them for you, I'd have more finish on them. And so what that means is just more cover, because you can still feel the bone there on that back. So you want more fat layer, basically, more cover, but you don't want to make them flabby. So it's a tricky little deal. So, but overall, very nice quality pen right there in 4th. So I really like these blacks down here, and I was on these blacks until he came in. So bless your heart that you came in. So young lady right here is going to be 3rd. I like a lot of things about this pen, and I can appreciate them a whole lot, and I appreciate everything that you brought, but they're not quite matched up as well as the last 2 that are up here. Super nice, and I wouldn't throw any away. In fact, everything that's left up here, these 4 pens that are left, I wouldn't throw those away. If you're breeding, those are good rabbits to hang on to. So now the $24 question is, which one am I going to go first and which one am I going to go second? Do you want to know? You ready? So we're going to go over here to this young man. He's going to be 2nd in this class. It's a beautiful pen of rabbits. They're super beefy, got a lot of weight to them. They got a lot of muscle. They got a lot of type to them. What if I could fix it for you? They too need some cover on them and a little bit more classed up to beat this set down here. That set right there is so. You brought the right one today for you. I'm glad that you didn't take them back. So obviously. So young lady, is this your pen here? This is the winning pen here? Which one is it? This one? I love these guys. They're firm to the touch, but yet they've got some good condition on them. Their coats are in great coat. They match up very well. It's just a beautiful pen, and congratulations on your wins. Congratulations. Yes.
Tag C3, C2, C1. Fourth went to Annabelle Wells, Rudy Caboose. Fifth went to Chloe Brown, loving 4-H. Sixth went to Melissa Norman, loving 4-H. Seventh went to Colby Norman, loving 4-H. And eighth went to
So Norman, loving 4-H, tag RTS 24. Another reminder that after our grand and reserve show, we are going to come back and do a showmanship show for our novice, juniors, and seniors. So if you would like to participate, make sure you're ready to go with your rabbits.
reserve first, so if y'all want to give me the reserve banner, that's grand. Okay. You got grand. So let me do the reserve first. All right, y'all can hand those out. Here, baby.
These ones are hard for them to carry.
Yeah, I'm gonna drag it out. That's fine. They're rocked in there. I'm gonna do reserve first. Test. Okay, so I'm going to make it hard on everyone and make y'all think about what I'm going to do. But I can tell you, going back and feeling of what I picked, I have some personal favorites up here, but I think that overall, the first and seconds that I picked today are spot on today. You're ready to show today. That's what people don't realize. And I hear this from the pig people all the time when I'm at a stock show. Well, down the road, this one's going to be good, so I'm picking it first today. But that's not true. It's not first today. It's going to be good later down the road. I'm looking for what's good today. And so overall, I felt like for each one of these classes, I picked the one that was ready for that class today. And I told some of you guys, hold on to these. They're not ready today, but they're going to be good. Give them some time to grow out. But I do have a reserve grand champion Friar County this year, and I really feel like that there was two that might be deserving of this, but this one for me is going to go to this young lady right here in the second class. Sweetheart. Sir, here in the third class, if you had a little bit more cover on those rabbits, you would have beat her. That's a nice pin you've got right there. All right, where's my, come here. So I got to do this for the moms, you know, because they got to have a little breathing room. So my grand champion Friar Rabbit pin today is going to go to this lovely black pin down here. Young lady, there's nothing here that can beat you today. Congratulations. Now, hang on, because I'm going to tell y'all, there's ones that I like here. So I love those two pins, and I felt like I did a really good job picking out what I did today, but I'm picking today. So, sir, you would have been third, okay? Sir, you would have been fourth right here. Young lady, you would have been fifth, and young lady, you would be sixth today for me at this table today in this room. Down the road, at State Fair, at Eastern, it can all turn because the rabbits change and how you feed them changes and how you handle them changes. And I was always told by my granddad and my dad that, you know, some of it is the animal that you purchase or that you raise, and the rest of it's the feed and handling. And I've asked some of them what they feed, and if you don't know what you feed, you need to go look at your bag, because that's an important thing about what you're putting in their mouths, because it does matter. But congratulations to all you winners. Thank y'all so much for having me come out and deal with your children. They're lovely, and I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you.
If you are participating in showmanship, we need our novice showers to be in the pen first. Our novice showers to be in the pen first.